Today, I've got an epic Flandre carry for you, and this ship is one of the best secondary battleships at Tier 8, even better than things like Massachusetts and Bismarck. And it's not because it has better accuracy or better pen than those ships. It's just that this ship has so many secondaries. Easily one of the highest theoretical DPMs of any secondary ship in the game, even against Tier 10s. It's that good. But, of course, the accuracy kinda holds it back, and the lack of pen. So we're running IFHE to try and pen some superstructures. You hit so many shells that you're probably going to get some fires here or there anyway. The really nice thing about the IFHE, though, is it lets you pen cruisers and destroyers with the little 100mm guns. And that's why I've run it here. So we did some decent damage to this American destroyer here, but he smoked up, and now we kind of have to run away. Unfortunately, I stuck with the HE a little too long and missed the Vanguard's broadside. However, we're going to come back to that with some AP next time. Vanguard, of course, is a ship that's well known for having one of the biggest citadels in the game, so even a secondary battleship with some poor accuracy should be able to do some pretty decent damage here. You'll notice that the vast majority of my team is on the opposite flank, and that's why I'm playing so passive. I talk about this a lot, but you really need to pay attention to the map and where your team is strong. However, even though we only have a few ships over here, it's tier 8s, and this is a tier 6 to tier 8 match. So even though it looks like we're a little bit weak here, we actually have a few very strong ships. Atago is one of the better cruisers at tier 8 in my opinion, just down to its heel and really strong HE. And we have a Lenin, which of course is a great tier 8 battleship. We got to skip forward a little bit. We've repositioned ourselves to maybe catch some broadsides on a Tirpitz and try and collect the C cap, since we don't have the B cap at all either. We're going to rip into this Tirpitz just a little bit. However, we get lit on 3 fires. I actually don't have fire prevention on this build, and I'll talk about that a little bit more at the end on why. But Flandre is a special ship in that it doesn't have 3 heals. It has 3 heals base, sorry. It doesn't have 4 heals on its base configuration. You have a lot of HP though, right? You have the Alsace hull at a tier lower. This ship, I think, is one of the better tier 8 battleships. Unfortunately, it's for money. It's better than the Richelieu in my opinion, but you got to spend money on it, which is a little too bad. You'll notice that we actually basically took no damage from that Vanguard, even though we were flat broadside. It's one of the gimmicks of this hull, actually, that you have turtleback and some of that signature French black hole armor. So it's even better than a Tirpitz or a Bismarck a lot of the time, because the shells get caught in between this armor more often when they do no damage. Whereas the Bismarck Tirpitz also avoid citadels, but at the cost of taking massive full pen damage. Our Lenin has done a great job bow tanking and pushing in here, allowing us to at least get control of the C cap and keep things close. However, the Vanguard managed to get a drive-by on him, which is a little surprising given his massive citadel and a Lenin's ability to just reverse and bow tank. So we're getting caught a little bit here as well, but we turn in, and now the Vanguard is kind of greeted for his rear guns. So we should be able to get citadels again. This ship has one of the biggest citadels. It's one of the reasons the Marlborough has a pretty big weakness when it's broadside, which is the dockyard ship currently. However, we are in a secondary battleship, and we've given up a little bit of accuracy for these secondaries range, and of course, on its own, battleships aren't always the most consistent things in the world. The mass manages to finish them off, but crucially, that could have been a kill. And you're going to see later on that I would have loved to have just one more kill in this game. Fortunately, we're quick enough and nimble enough to dodge the torpedoes from the mass, and, well, we have some pretty long-range secondaries, so these gunboat DDs don't really want to engage us in open water. Even though they're not very accurate, they do some damage over time. Now we get a free shot at the CV. Of course we're going to take that. And yep, there's our citadels and our first kill. 133,000 damage so far, and it's completely even. We're even on caps and we're even on kills. So we need to do something to try and win this game for our team. And that's why I've pushed into B. And we're going to try and secure this, or at least stall it out. I'm hopeful that the Atago and Mass can somehow deal with those DDs, or at least stall them. And I'm going to try and make use of my aircraft carriers spotting to hopefully take out this Charles Martel, and more importantly, the Akizuki. We really need to get rid of some of these destroyers since they have 3 left, and late game destroyers are incredibly strong. There's our Confederate and our second kill, finally getting ourselves a destroyer out of the way. Now we're in a bit of an advantage, although the enemy team is capping A, and I'm capping B. I have a decision to make now though. What do I prioritize shooting at? And it's a really difficult choice. It's really good to keep the Charles from capping A, since that's going to mean points and an extra cap that I'm going to have to go get later on in this game if he's allowed to cap it. However, our friendly destroyer is on low HP, and he's getting rushed down by 2 low HP destroyers. So I really think I need to focus on that, even though it's probably going to let the Charles get the A cap. We collect B, and there come the 2 DDs. I get a little greedy here, I'm not going to lie. You notice I swapped over to the HE. Maybe not the best choice, considering they're low health and probably going to angle to me. And we get some actually decent damage, but only 1 shell hits. Secondaries finish him off, though. But I really got greedy. I tried to get my secondaries on the kid on the other side and try and finish off the mass with my main guns. Didn't work out quite how I planned, but at least I got 1 of them, and we traded 1 for 1 there for our friendly destroyer. We're now left in a 2v2 situation. We're heavily favored since we have a CV, but you never know what could happen here. But given how much HP I have left, this should be a reasonably easy win, I would like to think. However, we'll see what my CV ends up doing a little bit later on. But the Flandre is really, really nice to have in a lot of these situations. It's a fast ship that can get to cap zones really quickly. It's reasonably well concealed. The guns do decent damage. They're not amazing, but they do decent damage. And these secondaries are a ton of fun to use. Now, we know the kid is in C-cap. He's capping. He's going to try and win by points. We have 5 minutes left in the game, by the way, so keep an eye out for that. We're probably not going to tick out on points. It's probably going to come down to either we kill everything or the game ticks out on its timer. So we got to pay attention to that, as always, in these late game kind of carry situations. You got to be mindful of when the game is going to end and what you need to be focusing on. Unfortunately, we bounced twice off of this Charles Martel with our front guns. We only hit 206 shells, and they bounced. So unfortunately, we're going to have to rely on secondaries to get our kill here. And they are doing some damage. You can see slowly ticking down. However, the carrier gets that one. That's another kill we could have had. And notice, we're on 3 kills. So had I done a little better job, we could have had a Kraken already. But 155k is decent. And after capturing A, we notice the kid has gone for the B cap, trying to win out on caps, trying to win out on time. But he's on low HP, and he was forced to smoke up. Carriers, of course, are crucial to winning against destroyers in the late game. Nullifying their advantage of spotting is important. That's one of the best ways to win a game as a DD, is to just stay dark and cap things. And fortunately, our carrier is able to negate that. However, you notice his position. He hasn't really put an effort into going for caps, and I make the decision to push this destroyer. I could have gone for C-cap, but I really think it was important we push him and just end the game here. 2 minutes left on the clock, nobody's going to tick out on points, and he's on such low HP. With my carrier coming to spot, I probably would have had him, even if I didn't get into detection range. So that is a 4-kill carry in the Flandre. Unfortunately, not a Kraken, but you can't get them every time, and we get a nice Confederate, high caliber, and Dreadnought as well. I really enjoy this ship, and I got pretty lucky here with the matchmaker, that's for sure. But you can do some work in tier 10 games as well. You just can't quite be so aggressive and just sitting in the middle of the map basically the entire game. For those wondering about the build, we are running secondaries, like I mentioned, with IFHE. This allows us to get the 100mm secondaries up to 21mm of pen. We sacrifice fire chance, but given there's so many shells being fired, I think it's worth it. But if you're wanting to get more fires and sacrifice some of that main gun damage or the alpha damage of these secondaries, you could go for it, but I like this ability to do some damage to destroyers with the smaller guns, as well as some of the lighter cruisers. Gunfeeder is very nice. We use it a couple times to swap between the HE and AP. Given you have 380mm guns, you do want to be considering swapping every once in a while. And I've decided to go for Emergency Repair Expert, since you only get 4 heals with this upgrade. You get 3 base on the Flandre, which is balanced out by having the highest, I believe, HP pool of any tier 8 battleship. It's quite a lot for tier 8, so it makes sense they reduce the number of heals, but I like having more healing for these longer duration games, allowing you to carry through longer games. Fire prevention, of course, is great for short duration tanking, but that's not really what I'm trying to do with the Flandre. With this build, I understand my weakness to fire here, so I'm trying not to put myself into positions where I would need fire prevention to stay alive. However, if you're not sure about how to position in that kind of way, fire prevention is easily the better skill to take, and you only sacrifice 1 heal that you're not always going to get to anyway. You'll notice no speed boost as well on this ship, so you're stuck with reasonably good speed actually in 35 knots, but no speed boost to help you accelerate or get out of bad situations, so running propulsion mod is very nice. And again, we're running secondaries, trying to have a little bit of fun with this thing. The concealment actually is really good considering you have 11.5 kilometer range secondaries and 12.7 kilometer detact. So about a kilometer distance between that is pretty comfortable to use, especially in a ship this quick. So that is the Flandre, a ship that I actually have a lot of fun in most of the time that I play it. And I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.